Hello, everyone. She going to drink just as I'm going into my hello, everyone. I'm messing with her, right? Those who have followed us so far know that Tennille and I always mess with each other. So I am James, the Ascension Coach, and just a little bit about what I do. I help people connect with higher states of consciousness, align with their higher self, and discover their soul's purpose, empowering them to live a life of love, joy, abundance, and fulfillment. And I'm going to turn it over to my lovely co-host, Tennille.
Hi, again, for those who are joining us again, nice to see you again. And for those who don't know, I am Tennille, co-founder of Moon Maiden Meditation. I'm a trauma-informed holistic wellness coach, and I ultimately help people get back in touch with who they are.
I love yours is so simple. I love it. I love it. I love it. So whether you're watching us live or whether you're watching us on replay, I have been kind of following Tennille's posts from this past. This might have been week, 2 weeks. You've been talking about the four agreements, right? That's just
Yeah,
was that just last week? Okay. So I saw that, I saw the fifth agreement. I was like, I know there's a fifth agreement. Is this the same one that the author talks about? It's like this looks a little bit different, but it looks interesting. So I said, let's talk about. Well, I'm not sure if I said it. No, I didn't say anything to you. I just created this whole thing, just moved you out the way. So I created this talk today around Tennille's fifth agreement that she brought out, and I called it the philosophy of knowing nothing, so that we can open up our mind to what's there. But what is actually what's the name you gave it?
so actually, the fifth agreement is from the original author. They just wrote a follow-up book to the four agreements,
Right.
and that was discussing that. So when I put it together, I'm like, I don't want to leave that agreement out because it's actually quite impactful too. So that's why even the post or the series I did last week was called, the five agreements.
Okay.
But yeah, so that fifth agreement actually is by John Ruiz Miguel as well, or John Miguel Ruiz. Yeah, John Miguel Ruiz. Um, and it basically complements four agreements, which is ultimately to be skeptical, but learn to listen. Right? So
Yeah.
essentially, we want to balance skepticism with open-mindedness.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I did, like I said, I didn't know that there was another agreement. I didn't know whether you had just kind of, because I think you gave it your own little twist, though, right?
Yeah, so what I did was
Yeah.
the whole week I was doing the series through the lens of my book and
Yeah.
the pillars of my method, which is my T method, which is awareness, mindfulness, authenticity, intuition, and time. And I'm actually doing the series on all of my favorite books because a lot of my favorite books have actually kind of inspired the method that I came up with, right? And
Yeah.
so essentially the series was to kind of tie the two things back together. So each day I was going through one of the agreements and then how my method applies to those agreements, right? Awareness, mindfulness, authenticity, intuition, and time. And how we can actually, using those pillars, it can help us understand. Because a lot of times, even when I first read that book, that is The Four Agreements is one of my favorite books ever. Same thing with the Power of Now, the book I'll be doing this week. And I remember it's like you read it and it's like, yeah, this makes sense, this makes sense, this makes sense. But the application is like, but how do I actually apply it? Like I love what it's saying, but how do I apply it? And now
Yeah.
with the method I've come up, with the method that I've come up with, I realize that it helps in the application of these four agreements, right? It helps you getting back into the present, by focusing on awareness, mindfulness, authenticity, intuition, time. And essentially, so that's what that was what that series was for, was to show how, like, to make it more practical. Like, this is how you can apply, or this is how you can start to incorporate the four agreements into your life. It's a
Yeah.
wonderful book. So yeah, that's what that is.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I commented under the post before we get into this philosophy of knowing nothing. I think I commented on one of your, like, number two used to be like my goal. It used to be like my everything until this awakening came. And for me, like for me, it's understanding now that the world is a mirror, right? So it's not to take it personally, but it's to recognize it's in some way reflecting me back to me. and so I need to, so it's showing me something I need to work on. But two was always, don't take it personally. Um, yeah, I still love that. I still love it. I just have a little twist to that myself. So when I read your fifth agreement, like it reminded me of one of my favorite philosophers, Socrates. I was reading Socrates when I was probably in elementary school. It was just something about him, because I saw that skeptical piece and I saw that doubting piece of what you presented. I said that reminds me of Socrates, and so that's why I call this philosophy of knowing nothing, so that you can open up your mind to what's there, because it's really about suspending our opinions, our judgments, our thoughts about a thing, that now makes space for truth, now makes space for greater understanding. And even what I talk about now makes space for higher consciousness, being able to see anything or anyone from a much broader and ascended perspective. So, but I want you to talk, yeah. So I want you to talk about, how you gave it your own twist for a moment.
I mean, that's pretty much exactly it when it comes to the whole mindfulness thing, right? I actually had a little bit of a story prepared. Because I was thinking about it, actually, I wasn't sure if it applied here, but I'm like, no, it kind of does. It shows how a lot of the times, we don't get out of our own way in the most successful situations. So this situation had to do with my daughter, right? So I've got joint custody with a dad, or she's with a dad half the time, and I needed her to switch days with him for a weekend because she had a dance recital. Now, when I asked him for her for that day, I had told him that I wanted to pick her up the day before. I found daycare so I could do her hair because she needed her hair done a specific way for the recital. Right? So we agreed to the switch, whatever. And I'm thinking, okay, great. And then I go and I pick her up on the day before, and he has gotten her hair done. Right? And he had taken it was freshly done, it was braided up, it was beautiful, but it wasn't what was needed for the recital. So essentially, all it did was gave me extra work. Right? Because now I had to take it all out to do it again. And my first instinct was to be so upset, right? That whole taking it personal, like he did this on purpose, it's like he knew I wanted to do it here. I specifically asked him, to say that I want to do it, that I have to do it here for this, and that he did this, but he came from this, like, I was upset, right? But then immediately I'm like, damn, now she's going to be upset. Now I have to deal, because obviously the hair looked nice, right? Now she's going to be upset because I take the hair out, so it's all these things I'm spin cycling, right? And then I'm like, okay, pause, right? So breathe, let's just, what's the first thing I'm concerned about? Well, of course, picking up, the first thing I'm concerned about is the fact that I now have to explain to her why I have to take the hair out of, in a way that's not going to upset her. So I managed to navigate that, and she was okay, she understood. And so I'm like, okay, that's my biggest concern. But then I'm like, okay, well, how am I going to deal with him? Because I'm like, if I take the hair out, don't say anything to him tomorrow when she goes back, he's going to be mad. So it's like, again, still immediately spin cycling, right? I'm basically like projecting all these things that haven't actually happened. It's all based on this assumption that I've made that he did this, like for some malicious purposes, right? Whether it was because he just didn't respect me and didn't take in what I had asked, or whether it was because he was just being spiteful because he knew it was going to give me more work. Otherwise, all these negative meanings to this simple thing of him getting her hair done. So I decided to pause and stop. And I said, well, what if there's another reason that he did it? What if it's not to spite me? What if it's not because he just didn't take me in? What if it's because he thought he was doing me a favor? He thought if he got her hair done, I wouldn't have to worry about it. And he didn't realize that I needed it done a specific way, right? And the interesting thing is that just allowing myself to consider that, right? To realize, number one, I don't really know why he got her hair done. And even today, I still don't know why he got her hair done. But what I do know is that I made assumptions that I knew why he got her hair done. And the kind of assumptions that I made were assumptions that upset me and therefore led me to potentially respond to him in a negative way. But by choosing a more positive assumption, like, he thought he was helping, at the end of the day, it looks really nice. Even then, the way I responded to him was different. I messaged him. I said, thank you. It looks lovely. unfortunately, I need to take it out for this and this and this. And then I sent him the reasons I need, like how I needed a hair done and why I need to take it out. But the bottom line is
Yeah.
I responded to him, not on the basis of he did something wrong, but on the basis of he did something right. And I don't know, I still don't know what the truth is. But the
Yeah.
bottom line is I got to choose how I saw the truth in that moment. And that actually not only helped me, but it helped the way that I then responded to him, because I was going to be responding to him based on anyway. So ultimately, that was it, right? So as I said, even till now, I don't know why he got a hair done, but then
Yeah.
ultimately, it didn't really matter. I didn't need to know at that moment. I got to choose how I was going to respond to the situation. But it required, first of all, it required me to actually get back to the present, right? Get back to the present and realize, first of all, I'm in a heightened state right now. Let me calm down. Right?
Yeah.
Let me look at what's actually going on. What's the issue here? Okay, her hair's done. It looks lovely. What's wrong? And then basically question myself on that calmer state, which then
Yeah.
allowed other alternative, suggestions to come through. And then that is what I got to respond to. Anyway, that's my story time.
I love that story for so many reasons. First of all, as a dad, the big thing for me when my child's mother and I would bump heads in the very beginning, it was over her hair. It was it was always over her hair. I liked it one way, she liked it another way. So when she would hand baby girl off to me, I'm doing baby girl's hair and I did the hair and everything too. I did her hair the way I liked it. But then when I'm sending her back, now she has to do it again. And really, and I get it now. Like I understood, like I came to the conclusion, like in my children's book, I talked about coming to the conclusion that the only thing that mattered is that baby girl is healthy and that baby girl is happy, right? Like, so if she wants her hair, this way, I'm gonna be okay with, whatever time I have with baby girl, with her hair being that way. But I had always loved her hair, and I loved it a certain way. But here are the two big points that come up for me when I hear that, or for anyone who may be in that situation. First of all, we're talking about the philosophy of knowing nothing. And to piggyback on that, I talk about how everything that we're experiencing is neutral. It's absolutely neutral. It has no meaning. It has no definition except the one that we give it. There is always the experience, and then there's my thought about the experience. The experience has no meaning. It's my thought about the experience that shapes that. And so you getting to that place where you kind of drop the assumptions, you drop, and that's the other part that came up for me too, was the story that the ego tells us. Like it wasn't even, I say it like this, it's not even us. It's the ego pretending to be us. And then we agree with, yeah, that probably is why she did this or he did that. The ego is in control now. We've left the building. The ego is in control at that point. And so the ego has all these fanciful ways of looking at something that exalts us to some extent and minimizes others, like they did this for this reason. And the ego wants us to be a victim, wants us to build insecurities and fears and all that other stuff. So it's always a story. So I caught that immediately when you were talking about it. It's like, oh, that's just the ego. That's not even Tennille. That's just the ego telling the story about that. But then also, I love how you gave the meaning to that you wanted to give it, that was more empowering, that was more positive, and released any negativity around that, because that's essentially what it would have become whatever you thought it was. We are always creating by our thoughts, by our assumptions. It's not what anybody else is doing, it's what we're doing.
We're doing, yes.
Yeah, it's
100%.
what we're doing. It's exactly that. I created a post today before we hopped on. I said I was posting. My post today was, there are no. I said you are the hater hating on yourself, which yeah, you are the hater hating on yourself. Like it's our projection of
Mm-hmm.
what egoic story is or whatever that makes that experience what we think it is.
It's
But
yeah.
to get to the part where you're, you know, just dropping all of that, again, the philosophy of knowing nothing. And have you actually, have you heard of Course in Miracles?
No, I have not actually.
Okay. One of the key things about Course in Miracles, it says, I don't know what anything is for. And it's really talking about that I give the meaning to everything that is.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no inherent meaning in anything. So yeah, I love that. And it doesn't, and like you said, it doesn't matter what his motivation was. Really, if we go to
Mm-hmm.
a higher consciousness space on this, he's you anyway. Like he's who you say he is. So his reason for doing it is the reason you give him for doing it because he's you. So yeah, I love that. I love that story. I love that story.
But the beautiful thing about it is that because I let go of that, even though it was still an inconvenience, don't get me wrong, that situation was obviously still an inconvenience. I now had to go
Yeah,
take my daughter's day all the way out. I now had to, we were up till late, sorting it. It was
yeah,
no longer like laden with this like resentment or anger. It was just like, oh well, here we are. So I was able to do it without continuing to feel bad about it because I had let go of the negative associations as to why it was done in the first place. Right.
yeah, yeah,
And that's, I think, it's ultimately, again, what we do is when we give a negative association, when we accept that negative association based on a behavior that, as you said, is ultimately neutral,
yeah,
then we also run the risk of basically like extending the period of time that we're upset about the action. You
yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean? So yeah, anyway, so that was it.
And then you start the ego. I never say, I want to be careful about saying you. Then the
Yeah.
ego adds other stories. I remember that time when they did X, Y, Z. They always do this. When we were 5 years ago when we were at my mother's house. It's just the story. It's just, and so for whoever's listening, be aware of the story. Be aware of the story, and really for anyone who wants a lesson in that, just go to social media, go to Facebook or Instagram, and see the stories of this is what this person did to me, or this is what this is showing up, or this is what didn't happen, or this is what did happen. It's all just stories, and there's nothing happening to you. There's no one doing anything to you. It's all a projection. We get to give, the same as what Tennille did. We get to tell the story that we want to tell and give the meaning that we want to give. And so whether it's somebody you feel is hating on you or doesn't like you, and really we're shaping our reality at the same time, because if you give that meaning or negative meaning to an experience, that's locking it in place. It can't be
Mhm.
anything other than the meaning you've given it. But if and here's the other thing that we also don't consider as well. We don't know what other people or what other projections that we call people have seen, heard, or experienced that cause them to react certain ways or what appear to be reacting a certain way. But we're
Mhm.
making a judgment that they did this because of this. When
Mhm.
again, just a
And
projection.
the
Yeah,
key part is it's not only that they're doing this because of this, but
yeah,
they're doing this because they value us at this level. Because it's always actually about us, even when it's negative.
absolutely.
And it's always about us. So they did this because they don't care about us. They did this because they don't love us. They did this because they don't respect us.
Yeah,
They did this. It's always about some negative thing that we believe they feel about us,
yeah.
whether or not it's true, right? And that's what makes it upsetting. Is that it's something that we are seeing in their behavior that just confirms something that ultimately we believe about ourselves.
Absolutely. And that is where, I talked about my child's mother. That's where that shift took place, where it was no, everything begins and ends with you, James. And so this is what we need to do differently. This is how we need to see differently. And if people were to kind of latch on to that, really kind of even test it, like be skeptical. Like that's kind of what we're talking about today. Be skeptical, be doubtful, but experiment and try it. Like my clients across the board, at least the last two that I've worked with, maybe the last three, they recognize when they changed how they saw someone else. Oh shit, that other person changed. Wait, that's me then. I'm the one that, and it's easy to kind of fall back into that unconscious state where you're going, oh, it's them. But when you become conscious about whatever experience you're experiencing, you recognize it's just me. And once I work on me, that changes. And even if we look at it from a quantum level, my judgments or my definitions that are negative are representative of the energy that I'm in. So if I'm shifting my energy to a higher consciousness or higher energetic vibration, that means that this experience has to match that. Has to match that. So, it's really recognizing everything begins and ends with you. It's nothing that anybody is doing. It's always, as Tennille pointed out, as I'm saying, it's always what you are doing to yourself. Period. Point blank.
Yes, sirree.
Yeah. So these life lessons, these nuggets, and really, I think these are what these experiences show up for. I'm not sure if I had this conversation with you or kind of just with some clients here and there, but life is giving us these experiences, and yet, like Tennille said, it was an inconvenience. At the same time, life is giving us these experiences to help us grow, to help us evolve. Because in every moment, especially a moment like that, in every moment, you're faced with two choices: either love or not love. Every moment you choose love, you're growing and you're evolving. Every moment you go, this is effed up, this is what they're doing, you are now either regressing or just stuck in that place of waiting for the next lesson or the next opportunity for growth to come along. Because it's not going to stop until we stop.
Yeah. True.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Now that being said, we had discussed playing around, but
Yeah.
you experiencing
Yeah.
my session. Are you still open to that?
Of course I am. Of course I am. Of course I am.
And
I
so,
ain't scared. I ain't scared to know.
well, no, because with myself, this is now the other level of stuff, right? Because the stuff that I
Yeah.
was talking about right now, that is still the level of the mind, right? The level where you're able to consciously make a decision between this or that, seeing things this way or seeing things that way. And we can definitely do that in every moment in our lives going forward, right?
Yeah.
But the session that I wanted to do with you today is ways that we can address what's already happened that is still stuck, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
If that makes any sense, because often what is still stuck is what's fueling our responses to what's happening now.
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's why I'm like, I'm thinking this might be exciting, but it's also an exciting thing to see whether or not you are actually able to truly be okay not knowing. And why I
Yeah.
say this is I think I've explained how my session works before. This is not hypnosis, so you're fully conscious, right? But I am addressing your subconscious as we do the session, which means that you have to be open to not challenging your subconscious, to accepting what is coming through from your subconscious. And I say that with a big smile because, as I said, when I was doing the training for this, I had to get sessions done. And
Yeah.
I love questioning everything, which means in my own mind, there were many times that I'd be like, that doesn't sound right. I'd be like, let it go,
Yeah.
just listen, right? And also when it comes down to one of the things one of the reasons why I like to emphasize this even before I go into the session is because this session is done with complete consent, meaning that I will ask for consent as we go through it, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And sometimes your unconscious will say no, right?
Mhm.
It's happened. It's happened with clients where we've asked to go and address a specific limiting belief, and the subconscious has responded, they're not ready, right? It's happened with me. If
Yeah.
that is the case, because I don't know, right? This is
Yeah.
happening to you. You get the message. You have to tell me so that we don't go there, right? I will never push you, where your unconscious thinks you're not ready to go. But the
Yeah.
key thing here is that the more like, my hope for you is when you come out of this, you will see how much you can tune into your intuition, how much your unconscious is ultimately there, even though it's irritating and jumps to negative conclusions sometimes. It's
Mhm.
ultimately there to protect you, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when you learn to trust it, and there's that back and forth communication, it kind of opens you up. That's why it's called, the session I'm doing with you today is my intuitive guidance, right? That's why it's called intuitive guidance, because the idea is to connect you closer with your intuition, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you ready?
Before you start, let me, because I'm a, as a coach, I notice everything. So I want, whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching on this on replay, how many noticed how, like, she's sitting back now, but how many noticed Tennille got up close, had this huge smile on her face, and it was like, Leah, oh, I'm about to dig into this. So if you notice that, like I noticed that, like she got super excited, she got close to the screen. Give me. I noticed it in the comments, but I am ready when you are ready, my friend.
Yeah, okay. So the first part, of course, is to calm yourself. So we're going to do a slight meditation and then get into the session. Okay?
Mhm.
So I'm going to need you to close your eyes.
Okay.
Okay? So place one hand on your chest, the other on your belly, and inhale deeply through your nose, letting your belly rise while keeping your chest still. And then exhale slowly through your mouth, feeling your belly fall. And we're going to do this for 3 to 5 breaths. Focus on relaxation and grounding. In through your nose, letting your belly rise, keeping your chest still. Exhale slowly through your mouth, letting your belly fall. As you breathe in, open yourself up to new insights. And as you exhale, let go of any doubts. Okay, so now bring your attention to the top of your head. Imagine a bright violet light there, connecting you with your higher sense of awareness. If you notice any tension or discomfort, let it soften and melt away with each exhale, feeling a sense of clarity and connection. And now move your awareness to your forehead, especially the area between your eyebrows. Picture an indigo light there, releasing any pressure or tightness. Allow yourself to feel a sense of intuition and insight growing with each breath. Now shift your focus to your throat. Visualize a blue light here, gently easing any stiffness or tension. Let your throat open and relax, fostering a sense of communication and expression. And then bring your attention to your chest area, especially around your heart. Imagine a green light glowing here. Feel the gentle rise and fall of your breath, allowing your heart to open and relax, promoting feelings of love and compassion. Now, move your focus down to your upper abdomen. Just below your ribcage, visualize a yellow light here. Notice again any tightness and let it soften with each breath, feeling warm and confidence growing within. Shift your attention to your lower abdomen, just below your navel. Picture orange light letting any tension melt away and allowing you to feel a sense of creativity and emotional balance. Now finally bring your awareness to the base of your spine and your lower abdomen. And here, visualize a red light, letting any remaining tension dissolve, feeling a grounding, stable energy that brings security and strength. Finally, your awareness to your legs and feet. Notice any sensations and let relaxation flow through your legs all the way down to your toes. And then imagine a gentle flowing river of calm energy moving through your legs and feet. Just allow your body to feel more and more relaxed, sinking deeper and deeper into the surface beneath you. Enjoy this peaceful state, letting every part of you feel calm and at ease. So, if I were to ask your unconscious mind where your past is or where your future is, I have an idea. You might say from front to back, left to right, up to down, or in some direction from your body.
Up to down.
Sorry, I lost the mic. And if I were to ask your unconscious mind where your future is, to what direction would you point?
Up to down.
Okay. Now notice that the directions that you just pointed to, can you notice that they imply some sort of line?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now, when I say line, I don't only imply visual, because in a moment, I'm going to ask you to float up above that line. It should be like floating in the air or floating in the water. However you float, up above the timeline is perfect. So can I just ask your unconscious mind to imagine floating up above your timeline, up above now, and let me know when you are up above now. Looking down at it, let me know when you are there.
I am there.
Okay, good. So now I'd like to ask your unconscious mind to turn toward the past of your timeline so that you are facing the past. Okay, and let me know when you're facing the past.
I'm facing the past.
Good. So now I'd like to ask your unconscious mind to float all the way out, up above your past, floating all the way out as far as you can go. And as you do, can you tell me if you notice any colors or what it looks like as you float all the way out?
I feel like there are fluorescent colors, maybe like a rainbowish
Mhm.
color.
Okay, wonderful. Do you see anything else? Do you feel anything?
Um, I feel like I see like there's an opening of a forest, and just kind of like that color is right there in the middle of it.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, great. So now keep floating as far as you can go, and then let me know when you feel like you're as far as you can go.
Okay, I feel like I'm as far as I can go.
Okay, good. So now, can I get you to turn right back around, so you're facing back towards now.
Okay,
Good. And now, I will get you to float all the way back to now, all the way back, and let me know when you're back up above now.
okay, I'm back above now.
Good. Okay, so now, can I get you to turn toward the future of your timeline? So you're facing the future.
Okay,
Good. And I'd like to ask your unconscious mind to float all the way out, up above the future, floating all the way out as far as you can go. And once more, if you can tell me any colors, things that you see, or how you feel as you float all the way out.
feel as if there's just, I feel like there's bright lights and just space on the backdrop, maybe like stars, um, as you would see stars in the sky.
Okay, wonderful. And again, keep floating out all the way as far as you can go. And once more, when you reach as far as you can go, you can let me know.
Okay, no.
Okay, good. So now, once again, can I get you to turn back around so you're facing back towards now?
Okay,
Good. And now I'll get you once more to float all the way back to now, all the way back, and let me know when you are back up above now.
okay, I'm back above now.
Good. So now I'd like to ask your unconscious mind to float higher and higher and further back, higher and further back, higher and further back, so high that your timeline looks 1 inch long.
I see it.
Okay, good. And now, can I ask your unconscious mind to float all the way back down, floating right back down, all the way back down, right back down, so you're floating back up above now. And let me know when you're back up above now.
I am back above now.
Wonderful. Okay, so before we go in to your event, we will do another breathwork technique. So I'd like you to place your right thumb on your right nostril, your index and middle finger on your forehead, and your ring finger on your left nostril. This is alternate nostril breathing or moon breathing. So close your right nostril, inhale through your left, and then close your left nostril and exhale through your right. And now inhale through your right nostril, and exhale through your left. We'll do this 3 more times. Inhale through the left, close, exhale, inhale, close, open, exhale. Inhale, close, open, exhale. And the last time, inhale, close, open, exhale. Good. So now I'd like to ask your unconscious mind to float up above your timeline and turn towards the past in your timeline. Let me know when you're facing the past.
Facing the past.
Okay, wonderful. Okay. So now it's time for that I will ask a question. Okay. So now I'm going to ask your unconscious mind if it's all right, or have you decided what limiting belief you'd like to address today?
Yes. Should I just go ahead and tell you?
Yep.
Okay. So I want to address the limiting belief of sharing, being more, sharing deeper spiritual truths.
Okay. Deeper. So you would like, you have a limiting belief related to sharing deeper spiritual truth?
Yes. It's
Is there resistance you feel?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So you would like to see where the resistance to sharing deeper spiritual truths is coming from.
Yes.
Correct? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So now, facing the past, I'm going to ask the first question. So just let me know what comes up for you. Is that okay?
Yes.
Is it all right for your unconscious mind for you to release this limiting belief related to having resistance to sharing deeper spiritual truths today? And for
Yes.
you to be aware of it consciously? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So what is the root cause of the problem? The first event, which, when healed, will cause the problem to disappear. If you were to know, was it before, after, or during your birth?
I want to know if it was before my birth.
Before. Good. And if you were to know, what age, how many years, how many months, how many decades, lifetimes, generations before your birth was it?
Yes.
Okay, so how many?
It comes up 10 years before my birth.
10 years. Okay. All right, wonderful. So now I would like to ask your unconscious mind to float up into the air, up above your timeline, into the past, and all the way down into the event. Right into the position so that you are looking through your own eyes. And when you are there, notice the emotion or sensation that is present and tell me what is happening in the event.
In the event, there appears to be conflict, maybe an argument that took place related to um, what someone else thought would be best versus what I guess, I don't know if it's my presence or another presence thought would be best. So there's a difference of opinion of what direction to go.
Okay, good. And what emotion is coming up for you?
Uncertainty, confusion, lack of acceptance is what initially comes.
Okay, great. And where would you say you are feeling this most in your body?
Definitely in my chest area, chest, heart area.
Okay. Okay, and how intense would you say this is out of 10?
I would say it's about 7.
Okay, good. So now we're going to turn that emotion up so that you can release it. Is that okay?
We're going to turn it up so that what?
So that you can release it.
Okay. Yes. It's okay.
Okay. Okay, so go right into the emotion, right into where you are feeling it, and we're going to turn it up like a volume dial. Starting from 7, 8, 9, good. Going right into it, feeling it more intensely now. 10, 11, 12, and then you let any thoughts come up with it. 16, 17, and you're going to take on as much as you can. 18, 19, 20, good. Feeling it as intensely as you can for as long as you can. Take your time and let me know when it starts to go down.
It's starting to go down slightly.
Okay, good. So now we want to take some deep breaths so the energy can move through you and dissipate. Inhale deeply through your nose and exhale with a sigh. Ah, releasing any residual tension or emotions. Sigh. Mm. Let me know when you feel all of the emotion has been released.
Okay.
Okay, good. Now the emotion has been released. Are there any other emotions coming up for you, or are you feeling okay?
No more emotions are coming up.
So now that these emotions have been released and you have a clearer perception of the event, what is the truth of the event, or what can you notice now?
I notice a sense of detachment from, in other words, the event is there, but there's no emotional connection to it.
Hmm. Okay.
It's just a sense of neutrality.
Okay, good. And I'd like to ask your unconscious mind and higher self what we can learn from the event, or what's important to know.
I think the important thing to know is to follow my truth and at the same time be accepting of other people's journey where they're at without judging it or um, without being attached to it.
Okay, great. And is there anything else that's important to know or that we can learn before I take you out of the event?
Um, no, I just detachment is just spelled out as a word, so that's the only thing that appears to
Okay, good.
be.
Now I'd like to ask your unconscious mind to preserve the learnings and to come up out of the event so that you are looking down at the event and turn towards the now.
Okay.
Okay. And as you're looking down on the event, I would like to ask your unconscious mind and higher self, is there anything else that we can learn or that's important to know looking down from this perspective? especially as it relates to the limiting belief that your higher spirituality.
What comes up is that I am not the emotion, that I'm something infinitely greater than that. That this was a dream experience that was, yeah, it was just a projection. Um, that I am in no way affected by any of it.
Okay, wonderful. And looking down on this event, is there any advice for this past life version of you or ancestors? Is it
Just
Tennille?
to lean in, just to lean in, just that's what's coming up. Lean in.
Lean in. Okay, beautiful. Okay, good. So now I'd like to ask your unconscious mind to preserve the learnings. And in a moment, I'm going to ask your unconscious mind and higher self to start coming back to the now, above your time, and only as quickly as you can release all of the limiting belief about expressing your understanding of higher spirituality on all the events, all the way back to the now. Observe the learnings and let go of any of these limiting beliefs or feelings of resistance all the way back to the now. Let all connected events flash up. Make sure you get all of them. Take your time and let me know when you are back up above the now.
Okay, I'm back up above.
Okay, good. So now I would like to ask your unconscious mind and higher self to come back down into your body, back into the room, keeping your eyes closed and letting everything integrate. And we're going to inhale through your nose for a count of 4. Hold your breath for a count of 7. And then exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 8. Repeat this 3 to 5 cycles. Take your time, and then you can open your eyes once that's done. So inhale for 4, hold for 7, exhale for 8.
Ooh, okay.
And how are you feeling?
I feel like I'm in a new reality. Um, but I feel lighter. Feel I feel like a blank slate, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Wonderful. And on your way back, I always like to check in. Did any other events pop up for you that you see may have been
I
related
was
to this experience?
I was scanning, but everything just there was little to nothing. It seemed more like just shadowy stuff. So there's nothing concrete. It's almost as if they were simultaneously dissolving. Uh, so yeah, there was nothing I could put my finger on.
Okay, wonderful. And how do you feel about the insights that came through for you?
You know, I was it wasn't expected to go back 10 years before my birth, obviously. and then to, yeah, it was very insightful because, obviously, I do this, and so I never know how the subconscious gets people to where they're at.
Yeah.
I've never been in that position that I put other people in, so it was very interesting from that. But to know that it was 10 years before I was born, that this was the event that was taking place, some kind of conflicting situation. It was interesting.
And that's what I'm saying with the exciting part with not knowing, right? And being okay
Yeah,
with, with not
yeah,
knowing. I've always said that with the work that I do, I don't really do anything. It comes from you.
yeah.
And that was exactly it. Anywhere that you were led, that was yours. That was your journey. That was your insights. And then from this point, it's how do you apply what you've learned to the limited belief that we went into, or how would you feel it relates back to what we went into for in the first place?
Well, you know what? When we talked about this yesterday, uh, when we messaged each other, I said that my higher self had already let me know
Yeah.
that it's time, right? Like, and I even began preparing for that, having conversations with certain people, um, preparing for that, right? But never did I have the event behind it. Just that, okay, James, we now need to start positioning ourselves to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, a couple of things come up. This is along the path that my higher self already had me on for you to even suggest this,
Mm-hmm.
because you are an aspect in this moment. You are an aspect of my higher self, and then the my higher self wanting me to know that this is the event or and all that good stuff. So, um, yeah, I can't remember. I'm sure what the question was, but it's just strengthening what already took place. What already
It was more just to say, going into that, like how can the insights we gained from the event apply to what it is that we went into the event for? Because often that helps with integration, right? When thinking back to, okay, we decided to go into the event based on this.
Mhm.
And, this is the event that came up for you. And this is the insights that came through for you. And based on the insights that came through for you, how do they strengthen, I guess, your understanding, or how do they help you to release the limiting belief further if there was
Yeah,
anything attached there?
yeah, it's just, and that's exactly what it is. Just strengthen it further because detachment is big for me in what I do, and so just just again taking the emotion out of the out of the doing of what needs to be done, and just being the awareness, being the beingness that's just doing it, right? So it just strengthened the sense of being detached and removing the emotional charge from it.
You know what? I have to say thank you though for being brave enough to do this like publicly, because you never know what was going to come up. So thank
I,
you.
I absolutely, I trust you. It's funny. I tell my clients when I'm preparing them, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to have you barking like a dog or hopping on one foot. And I didn't know what Tennille sometimes has shenanigans. I don't know what Tennille is about. I'm,
But there's one
I'm
thing that I always like to ask, based on whatever it was that you experienced, do you doubt it?
no, because I do this, right? So no, not at all, not at all. We have a different way of doing it, but we're arriving at the same place. So I know how real it's been for my clients. Again, I've never been in this chair,
Yeah.
so yeah. So it's,
Well,
it's just
thank you for
interesting.
trusting me, put you in the chair.
Yeah, but I appreciate you going, you know what, let's do this, and because you know what, here's my thing. This is how I know it's my higher self, and just this was just in alignment. This could have been anybody. We could have brought somebody on and said, hey, let's do this. So yeah, it was supposed to happen, that and the way it happened. So I'm appreciative. I'm grateful. Yeah. I still think you were a little bit too enthusiastic about this though. Like you went
Well,
from
I was ready to see what was going to happen.
you went again for those who are watching some replay. Catch us. I came probably halfway from where it is right now. Catch Tennille right here, and then watch her go. Okay, so this is what we're gonna. So watch her get close to the screen. Watch that beautiful smile get wider, and just it's almost she did everything but okay. Here we go. She
No,
did everything but
myself, and I told you, I love this work. It's so exciting for me
yeah,
because of the
yeah.
kind of insights that people, have. And then, as I said, we talk about it afterwards. So it's like, I love it. So that's why I'm like, hey, let's go.
And that's an important lesson as well. The being passionate, for those who watch, because we're going to close out here in a moment, being passionate about what you do. If there is not that level of passion in what you're doing, really consider whether you're doing what you've been called here or what you've incarnated here to do. You should light up the way I'm messing with Tennille, but you should light up that way. That's what that feeling should be like on the inside. So thank you, my friend.
Well, thank you. And this was insightful. And this was, I think, like I said, when we were discussing yesterday, I'm like, wait a minute, I do this session because that's exactly what it is. This, if anything, demonstrates, right? The being open to knowing nothing, right?
Yeah.
And then it takes, in a different type of way, it shows you that being open to doing that, to knowing nothing, can get you somewhere sometimes.
Absolutely.
I sound like this is a bunch of nonsense.
And for those who are, for those who were interested, fascinated, intrigued by this, Tennille's website is at the bottom, Moon Maiden Meditation. Reach out to her if you're watching this on, because I know you stream it to your Facebook, whether it's your Facebook or your LinkedIn. Definitely reach out to Tennille. She's beautiful to connect with. And maybe maybe this is your time. Maybe there's something that is restricting you, holding you back that you're not able to put a finger on. With an open mind, this work can work for you as well. So, all right, my friend. Anything before we close out?
Thank you.
Any last words before we close out?
No, thank you. Again, thank you so much for being brave enough to do this, out here. And it's my first time ever doing, obviously, this session public. It's always private.
Yeah.
So I'm like, whoa, what if your unconscious is like, no, we're not going anywhere today.
No, we got a pretty good relationship as far as me and yeah. So that's what it is. All right, I'll be messaging you, I'm sure, before our next session. But I love you, my friend, and I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.